French philosopher René Descartes once stated, "Je pense donc je suis." I think, therefore I am. By doing so, he demonstrated the most fundamental principle upon which knowledge is based, the inescapable reality that we as conscious humans are all thinkers. It's this familiar yet inexplicable phenomenon of cognition that binds us and allows us to progress as a species, a platform of intellect which seems to distinguish humanity from the rest of nature. Surely enough, history has made it very clear that thinking about thinking is a necessary practice for progress. What happens if one takes a step back from all these thoughts and analyzes them for what they really are, ideas, opinions, and perspectives? Perhaps then the result becomes beyond the advancement of the physical and becomes the advancement of thought itself. In any domain there are primary and secondary observers. First-order observers are those who simply observe, whatever the subject may be. Then there are those who observe observers observing, and by doing so a contingency is placed upon the first observation, an uncertainty, the possibility that things could actually be different. Could one then consider thinking about thinking about thinking? Or even beyond that, thinking about thinking about thinking about thinking? An endless positive feedback loop of metacognition. Well, I guess so, but that's besides the point. The crux of the matter is that thinking about thinking is to make a refusal. It's the rejection of current paradigms that enables one to think far beyond them, and allows one to pioneer new boundaries of thought. Consider a woman named Marilyn Strathern, an anthropologist who conducted extensive research on human relations, kinship. Inspired by David Schneider in the 1980s, Strathern sought to expose the assumptions made by British anthropological approaches to the study of kinship. She realized that times were changing, and the then accepted methods of accepting culture as a timeless fact was in urgent need for change. The onset of technologically assisted conception, or in vitro fertilization, was suddenly transforming this natural phenomenon of birth into something cultural, an event controlled by human volition. Strathern transformed the problem into the beginning of a new epoch, one emancipated from the assumption of the nature-culture distinction and the relativistic handling of facts, both of which were commonplace in the study of English kinship prior to her. Strathern suggests that culture is not a timeless ontological fact about humans, but rather a time and space-specific method of studying the human. She encouraged new ways to understand the human in what is called an anthropology of motion in terms of motion. Consider a painting, except rather than it being an ordinary painting, let it be a painting of an idea. And consider all different ideas to be individual paintings, each their own unique collection of ink, upon a canvas. Thinking about thinking is to declare that all of these paintings, no matter how different they are from each other, all have a binding feature, the vanishing point, the point at which something disappears or ceases to exist. Thinking about thinking is to acknowledge that, regardless of which painting is currently in the spotlight, it will still have its vanishing point, and there will always be some thought left unexplored. Anthropology is a second-order science, an observation of observations. The position the anthropologist takes is that of the foreign, as if he or she is an outsider. Thus, it is impossible to advance the field without dismissing the universality of previous concepts, without thinking about thinking. In the study of humanity, I am confident that empathy and perspective are among significant driving forces. Perhaps even more importantly, thinking about thinking is of utmost priority in the anthropology of medicine, a field which must constantly adjust to the advancement of modern science. Just as Strathern revolutionized an entire era's worth of ideas, many others have done the same. Whether it is the idea of nature, culture, society, science, or any other, it is important that we understand as humans, biased as we are, that elsewhere it might be different. Our understanding of concepts dictates our reality. The forces that enable us to learn also serve as barricades that prevent us from truth. Perhaps thinking about thinking and all that stems from it is in essence an act of humility, for what does it mean to gain knowledge than to increase the boundaries of one's own ignorance?